Okay, this is a Sandy Creek State Forest. I know that says Deer Creek Fishing Access Site, which there are a lot of these. When the weather is kind of appropriate, I want to venture to all those and do some of the state forests as well. This is, to me, a rather kind of unknown one. This is Sandy Creek State Forest. Ahead of time, thanks for watching. I'm just going to, venture around, maybe show plants, trees, that sort of thing. I know the Deer Creek runs through here. We'll check that out. So bear with me, and yeah, I'll kind of explain what I'm seeing, and we'll go from there. So once again, you can do camping here, which is pretty cool. Already something that is invasive but edible. A garlic mustard plant. Edible plant. Flower on top's about to show up. You can definitely eat those. It looks like it's next to maybe the beginning of some elms. These look like elm leaves to me, which Dutch elm disease did quite a number around here. Looking like a cherry tree next to that. What type of cherry? We've got pin, choke, and black cherry, so a little bit tougher for me to describe. Yeah, so I can tell by the bark right here. This is definitely, I mean, that's an elm. That's as much of an elm leaf, and then the bark for sure. That is definitely the bark of an elm tree. So nice to see some of those actually surviving around here. Something called wild lettuce. This one next to the garlic mustard. Okay, I say we venture in and check it out here. Got ourselves a type of maple. This plant is called arrowwood. It does grow exceptionally straight branches. I think we got ourselves here some mayflower leaves. Talking about those right there. A yellow birch. That bronze coloration and the papery quality of the bark coming off. Oh, there we go. That's neat too. Looks like some rhizomorphs, possibly. There's definitely honey fungus that grows around here. It's absolutely delicious, but it is extremely parasitic and destructive. Now, this place doesn't really necessarily have paths. When you come into this place, you're just kind of on your own. I have not ventured terribly, terribly far in here. I've never spent the night. It would be kind of fun to do a hammock night. If I ever get brave enough to do overnight stays, I might try something like that. Got some human activity. Looks like a fireplace. Looks like they used just a bunch of mud rocks to make up the fireplace. Things like shales. You can see the ridges on there. Or the markings looks like a brick. Looks kind of like a reddish. Yeah, this is the majority just mudstones. Sandstones, siltstones. I kind of just call them all mudstones. Got a lighter. All right. I'm fighting the urge to just go over the same things each time. So if I mention a plant, I'll leave it at that and just kind of go for new plants. And identify new things as they come along. But in the future, I will identify the same things again and again. This, a red raspberry. A red raspberry. Why this one's a red raspberry is the black raspberries have pruinose canes. Pruinose is kind of like what you see on grapes and apples. That white type of substance that you can kind of rub off with your fingers. Black raspberry canes have that, and they've got kind of a purplish hue to them. One of my favorite things to see in spring, trout lilies. I don't think it's really a true lily, but where am I at here? Not a true lily, but edible. It's got a bit of a gelatinous sort of taste to it, a texture to it that's a little gelatinous. But it is edible. The flowers aren't up yet. Give that probably a couple weeks and we'll see some flowers. And here we go, something new already. We got a beech tree. Some beech leaves and the bark of a beech tree. That nice, smooth, grayish color. Now, there is a Latin term for people carving their initials into beech trees. Because when you carve your initials into a beech tree, as the tree gets older and the trunk expands, so doesn't the lettering that's carved on it. Which means the Latin phrase says that the letters, as the letters grow larger, so does our love. And I will show you Salmon River Falls, the beech trees there, almost all of them have like a beech fungal disease. Looks like we got some predation here. First bones of the trip. Looks like they're getting worked on by creatures to clean them up. I'd have to say deer, obvious, or probably a deer. The size of those would be a deer, I would assume. Here's Deer Creek. Now, as a kid, this creek actually ran by my parents' house. We're farther east, I believe, so I didn't venture to this area very often. I really just discovered Sandy Creek State Forest, gosh, a couple years ago. Looks like all the vegetation down there is hellebore. False hellebore, I believe. Kind of skirt along the river. This state forest is not very large. It's almost like a rectangle encompassed by a bunch of roads, really, outlined by a bunch of roads. Okay, this thing here looks like an English, a white pine. Now, white pines here were planted in old farmlands, and this one, the multi-trunk nature of it could have been by a particular insect that chews at the terminal buds of those particular types of trees, and so it creates a tree that has multiple leaders. Wasn't expecting pretty early on some early mushrooms. Now, for those who are mycophages, people who eat mushrooms, the abbreviation for something like this, LBM, little brown mushrooms, typically means stay away from it as far as edibility is concerned. Something that small anyways, I mean, it's not like it's going to be a great mouthful. You're going to cook that and it'll probably be 90% water, and you'll have probably nearly nothing left to actually consume. So they're typically not worth it. And you also have to be very careful of a particular type of mushroom, the gallerinas, deadly gallerinas. I mean, the name is apt. They are extremely toxic. Alright, just because it's fun to do, we're going to try and we're going to move. So this, there we go. We're going to move this just because it'll be fun. Oh! Is it passed away? I'm not sure what that is. Oh, look at all the ants. I don't really want to disrupt the colony. I wonder if they killed that. Almost like a newt or something. They disrupted an ant colony. They're moving all their eggs to safety. It's like they kind of air them out. They must have just killed whatever this is. I'm going to put this back and try not to hurt them anymore. But I want to get a closer understanding of what's going on there. Okay. I am so confused. Maybe it's not a newt. Whoa, okay. All right, totally perplexed. I've already got a tick on me. Keep that in mind. Well, there's a tick for you. They are disgusting. something as a kid didn't really have to be concerned about. Do now, though. All right, we're going to put this back. That is... Okay, it is like a newt or a salamander. It's alive. Oh, a spider just ran through there. Yeah, this is one active rock. Dang. I'm a little afraid to put this back. It's definitely trying to hide from me. All right, we're going to put this back. Try not to harm the salamander or the newt. The ants do their thing. We'll get up out of there. Dang. Okay, I gotta really watch myself when it comes to the ticks now, though. All right, I see something hanging from a tree. We're gonna go see if that's something odd or not. Oh yeah, it's like a wasp's nest. All right, I don't see anything flying. In and or around it. But I will do one of these. I'll extend close to it. Pretty wild. It's hanging from a maple tree. Hanging from a maple tree. So in a state forest like this, you definitely have to keep your mind on where you're heading so you know how to get back. Once again, if you got lost in this particular state forest, pick a direction, walk it, you'll hit a road. Here we are, a barberry. This thing's got little thorns. Hey, okay. It's kind of cool. Get to see a barberry flower if I can get into focus. Okay. It's going to go in and out of focus because of... There you go. Barberry flower. Not the most common thing to get. It's not native. In herbal medicines, you can use the root for a lot of stuff. It's a popular shrub for landscaping. All right, yeah, we're gonna venture a little bit. I'm gonna just venture in. We're gonna the creek on this side. Maybe next time I'll go to the other side. The creek on this side definitely goes along the road, so it's not as fun. All right, so this, like what I would do back home, these are the pillow and cradles. I do videos on kind of unearthing the rocks. Underneath these. I won't do it too much with this. Looks like a lot of shales. Ooh, this looks like a large granite boulder. This got here through probably the Laurentide ice sheet. You know, New York is geologically formed by, you know, the last ice age. And that ice sheet dragged like a giant cold piece of sandpaper, lots of stones. And then as it retreated, dropped all those stones. So having a huge granite boulder, this area in particular is not a igneous nor metamorphic area of New York. You have to go to the Adirondack Mountains for that. This area is sedimentary, you know, siltstones, and shales. Anything other than that came from somewhere else. I do have to admit, it's something I'm not proud of. I don't know ferns all that well. Now, the one fern that I do know extremely well is a bracken. I do know bracken ferns well. Not the biggest or the healthiest hellebore, but a hellebore nonetheless. And speaking of hellebore, that's all hellebore. It's definitely an earlier leafing plant here. The flowers are green. I've never actually seen the flowers on one, but from all my books I do know that they're green. This is an invasive plant. It's a tree. That's invasive. You know, just try to get the bark in focus. A smooth buckthorn. So, doesn't really have thorns. Has yellow roots. I'll show you more of this throughout the season. I cut them down in my yard. They're negative. They have negative impacts to things quite a bit. Let's kind of, I don't know. I'm gonna go down this slope. Each time I come here, I'll try to cover something different and walk into areas that I haven't been. There's a lot of scat in here. I haven't shown you every pile of poop, but there's a lot of poop. I'm happy to be here this time of year just because of the mosquitoes. There aren't any yet. Emphasis on yet. Alright, I do have to, this is one of my favorite trees, so I want to show you a larger version of it. The yellow birch. Just beautiful. The way this thing shines in the sun is like a bronze statue. Just absolutely beautiful. Love these trees. They get tall. They get real tall. Not the most typical thing to find along the way. But here, people call these cedars all the time. I think it gets called a white cedar here. Looks to me like an arbor vitae, but I'm not entirely sure. This is a type of nettle. It is a stinging nettle, and this sucker hurts. But it's not, well, I guess all nettles you can eat, but it's not the stinging nettle. It's not the stinging nettle that I'm used to eating, which is Urtica dioica. These really sting. I don't have many skin issues. When I touch these, I get welts. And it's one of the few things that give me welts to touch. I believe this is a type of, I want to say anemone, because that's what's underground. I'll have to do a little bit more research on this. Possibly a type of rue. I'm actually going to head towards the water sound. Try not to get stung by any of that type of nettle. This is a neat little spot. We're gonna go down in this, check out the water, check out some of the standing water and the rocks. Rosebush. Probably an invasive one. I think there's really only one place. Is this a locust? This might be a locust, and the reason why I say it's a locust is those thorns. There aren't too many plants that are absurdly thorny around here, except for locust trees. Definitely an old one. Ooh, ooh. Oh, whew. I think I saved myself from getting too wet of a foot. I love pools of water like this. See if we come across any frogs. Or any interesting stones. There's something light colored. Discovering all the different types of rocks in my creek is making me very curious about just the surface level rocks in these areas. Something like this is, that's looks like a type of granite. Pretty red. Red piece of granite. I mean, I'm already seeing so many different stones and rock types. I don't know what red that is. That might be a piece of brick. I did see the brick at the fireplace, so that might just be a piece of brick. Let's see. This stood out as being different color. Okay, that's like a Sandstone. Of course, it's in my nature to want to touch every single rock. I'm going to try to keep away from that and definitely just pick up the ones that I can tell have different colorations. Whoa. Not expecting something like that. Beautiful. That looks like some sort of metamorphic gneiss. A neat little spot. Definitely see like some, gotta really be careful not to sting myself here. Some sandstones. Looking like a piece of granite there. Another sandstone here. I'm going to follow this up, see what happens. We're not going to go to the main creek, but we're going to follow this up. I think there was a little bird scurrying away from me. Okay, I do have to really be careful in here with these nettles. I remember before, this is where I learned that I get stung by these things. And they pack a wallop. Well, something not a piece, that's not a piece of shale, you know. This isn't either. Ooh, it's slimy. And that piece of gneiss, I think it was. That's neat. Wonder if this is fed by an underground spring sort of situation. I'm gonna go towards the water, maybe? Actually, no, let's follow this around. I'm gonna be very indecisive. This is a lot of fun for me. I hope you don't mind the one shot scenario and just kind of running out the camera. But this is a good time and also a good lesson learned. That is some really early poison ivy. You know, a crawling vine hasn't really even greened up quite a bit yet. Now, for a while I wasn't allergic to ivy. Now, as I get older and my immune system is probably not as strong, I feel like it's not worth much of a not worth it to find out if I am not allergic to it anymore or not. So we'll steer clear of it. So overall, a dominated hardwood forest. And really all I mean by hardwood is deciduous trees that lose their leaves. So far, I mean, it's been mostly maples, beeches. We've seen some elms, you know, young cherries. In these adventures, we will come across more coniferous dominant forests as well. All right. Yeah, see, now this is a big cherry. This is a cherry. This and that kind of flaky. I've heard it considered like Kellogg, like cornflake, burnt cornflake style bark. Here we are, Deer Creek. Wow. Imagining all of the rocks under there. We'll follow this a little bit. I'll let you keep an eye on it. Awesome. All right. I'm excited already. We're going to stop off and show you this real quick, though. Strawberry. Also got 3 leaves. Don't confuse it with the poison ivy, which also has 3 leaves, but is typically a crawling vine. Yes. Okay. I don't want to be mistaken, but I think these are currants. And almost maple leafish leaf is a currant. Which there are quite a bit of. But right there. All right. This is usually this is an early mushroom for me. I'm gonna get out of my shadow here. A dryad saddle. This is edible. And the way there aren't really many lookalikes. You know, get your season right. It'll grow off dead elms. With one this big, this big, what you do is you run a knife blade in until you feel a bit of resistance, and then you can cut around that rim. Now, when you put this in something, it has a watermelon rind flavor and smell, but it is edible and fun to see. These things get huge, and on rainy days they collect water. They get so big they get to the size of like tractor seats, old school perforated tractor seats. There he goes. go. Got some herbal medicine plants. Here we have a very astringent plant, agrimony. It's pretty identifiable. It's got, you know, your bigger leaves and then these smaller internodal leaves. This is astringent, ultimately great for diarrhea. I've also read in some herbal lore books to be used against black magic. Oh, neat. Man, as a kid, I would have tried to cross that kind of natural bridge there. Definitely stepped on a rock that was loose. Made a fun thud noise. Probably some interesting stuff under there. Ah, here we go. Here's something that was a good lesson learned. Yeah, so, I mean, this is what most large elm trees look like here. But they are a substrate for the dryad saddle. Here are the smaller ones. Now, most of the fruiting body of this is edible, just because of its size. You know, it hasn't gotten its woody texture yet. So, nice early edible mushroom. Ah, a wooden pallet. Interesting. A lot of different color rocks in there. The shoreline, though, is mostly rocks that look native to this area. Probably got a bunch of fossils. Let's walk along this. Believe this is a honeysuckle. There are native honeysuckles in New York, but there's also invasive ones. There is a difference when it comes to the stem, whether or not the stem is hollow or not. I loved playing in and around this creek as a kid. My buddies and I would build dams and catch crayfish, mountain lobsters. So there is some human activity. I see a stump that is cut. That is definitely human activity. A little bit of a beech grove. These younger trees here, all the green that's at my level are beech trees, young ones. See, now this is a beech tree that is diseased. Yeah, it's got a beech bark fungal disease, most likely. And that's what it looks like. And this is what becomes of it. I should never risk this by myself, and I'm not going to set a bad precedent on film, so I'm not going to cross under this thing. Follow me while we go into the bush. Sorry. I'm honestly not the best at puns. And my family lets me know about it. All right. We've got to do these, because as far as human history goes, these have played a large part. They're not in the best of quality or shape, but these are amadou, or hoof fungus. I mean, this the underside, when it's dry, you can take them off the trees, and you can put an ember in them and use them to carry fire from place to place. I believe Paul Stamets has a hat that's made out of the felt-like fibers from this particular fungus. If I'm not mistaken, and depending on what paper you read or who you talk to, Utsi, the Alps man, I think from like Sardinia, I believe, but in the Alps. Shot in the ass with an arrow and died, and then froze for 5,000 years with his cool tattoos, his like acupuncture tattoos, medical tattoos, possibly. This is supposed to be possibly one of the funguses he was carrying. The other one is a beach polypore, which we'll most likely come across as well. Trying to see if these are younger ones. They might be. Yeah, these look like younger ones. Not particularly sure what this would have been, if this fruited this year or not. Not particularly sure for this early in the season for me. Okay. Another valuable. Also, I forgot to say, the amadou also as a tea or something is supposed to be medicinal, as well as you can make tinctures out of it for specific purposes, as you can with this as well. This looks like a red belted polypore. Very similar to the amadou, the tinder fungus, the hoof fungus. Also, this has purported edible properties as well. Also not entirely sure. Something I wouldn't venture to eat. It's a guild. Yeah, it's a fungus with gills. This looks like a piece of granite. Another granite boulder. I think it's appropriate to say for that size. I do feel like if I keep going this way, I'm going to hit a road, which I know is a definite thing. Either a house or a road first. One of the two. Wow, this is a beautiful section of this. Deer Creek is just beautiful. I have some of my most favorite memories as a kid from venturing on Deer Creek. Just want to get an image of this guy. I've tried to get my entomology skills better. It's on one of those really stingy nettles. Well, better it than me. Sorry, I'm lingering. That almost looks like a pegmatite to me, which effectively just means a granitic rock with really large crystals, which can be the source of precious gems. I am not in the right shoes for this at all. Well, it's definitely got, it's definitely porphyritic. Just means large. And it looks like it'd be mostly just got very feldspar rich. It did stand out quite a bit though. So, in my county alone, there's like 18 plus state forests, I do believe. That number could be wrong. The DEC website has fewer, but they don't even mention this one on their site. Or if you go visit it right now and it does, then I'm wrong. The phone battery's probably going to die on me soon here. So thanks again for watching. If you watched all this way, dang, I appreciate it. Sometimes I just keep videos on when I go do other things anyways. So I appreciate, like I said, any amount that you watch is great for me. I just like doing this. I would love to be able to sustain my lifestyle with videos like this. Way to be very, very fortunate. It's pretty neat. Creek has diverted itself here. Forgot about these. What do you know? Got ourselves a burdock. Leaves bitter as hell. So I was probably, I don't know, maybe 10 to the 14 range, which I know is kind of a jump, but whatever. I got a book. My mom bought me a book at a mall called Shenku, and it had a section on herbs. Well, I grew up around here, and throwing burdock burrs at your siblings, like that old game with the paddle and the paddles that you'd strap to your hands and the Velcro balls. You know, burdock is kind of the OG of that. So I got the book, realized, man, I know what burdock is, and it says I can, you know, I probably misrepresented it. Like, oh, I can make tea from it. Made tea from the leaves, and it was absolutely horrible. The roots, though, it's a biennial plant, so effectively the first season is the vegetative leaves, and then the second season is where the burrs, the flowers, and the burrs show up. That first season root system, very edible. Now this is the stinging nettle. I said nettle again. This is the stinging nettle that I consume when it's young. This does sting you. It will leave welts if you're sensitive. You know, urtication. It was, you know, if you had rheumatoid arthritis, let's say in your knees, you'd take a bunch of this, slap your knees with it. Which sounds kind of insane, and it probably is. If you had the right reaction to it, it would just bring blood circulation to that area and possibly alleviate the arthritic pain. I think that's the assumption behind it. To me, in person, there's a clear difference between that nettle and then the other nettle that I just try my best not to go near. I'm usually very well covered up at all times. It can be 90 degrees out here, and I will have a sun shirt and pants on, just because of all the things that can sting you, and all the things that want to bite you, and all the things that want to be parasitic off of you. So, just my rule. I can handle being sweaty and uncomfortable while being out and about. All right, this is something that would be fun to discuss. Something called a nursery log. Why is it a nursery log? Because that's not the ground. That is a log. Now, what's happened is the tree fell over and it got broken down through decomposition, through fungus and everything else. And now seeds have discovered it and they are now growing off of the log. So it is a nursery log. This entire tree has, let's go over some culprits here. The entire tree has agrimony. It has red raspberry with a fly. Oh no, what are you? Looks like a wasp, possibly. The very stinging nettle. A type of plant called bedstraw. Gallium. Sheesh, it's even got some maple seedlings in there. Yeah, this thing is a true plant nursery. I even see some grass farther up. Let's cross over this. Okay. Show you the grass real quick that's growing on this. That nursery log is also a nice yard. Very good. Awesome. Another piece of granite. Yeah. The fate of most elm trees. They're a nursery log in themselves. And they're a nursery log for the dryad saddle. Sorry, I don't really know the nomenclature for this, but if you type dryad saddle in on whatever search engine you use, you'll come across something like, you'll come across these. Look how small these buttons are. Nice. But yeah, this corky, that is the bark of an elm, and especially it coming off in sheets like that on these dead ones. That is very common here. That is mostly the case. Once again, it is not common to find those surviving here. Surviving and thriving. All the ones that I have around here are young, if anything. English white pine that definitely got disrupted by some sort of insect to create all those multiple trunks. This, just by the bark alone, looks more like an oak tree